Do you remember those summer holidays when you were a kid? The ones that felt like they would never end? A single afternoon could feel like an entire week. You'd wake up with the sun, spend hours building forts or exploring the woods, and somehow there was still so much day left. Time moved differently back then. It was thick, heavy, real. But now you blink and suddenly it's December again. Your 20s felt like a decade. Your 30s felt like 5 years. And if you're in your 40s or beyond, you might feel like someone hit the fast forward button on your entire life. Birthdays arrive faster, seasons blur together, weeks become indistinguishable, and you start asking yourself, where did all the time go? Here's the thing. Nobody warned us that time would speed up after school. But it's not just your imagination. There's actual science behind why childhood feels slow and rich, while adulthood feels fast and fleeting. In this video, we're going to unpack the memory-based clock inside your brain and reveal why your life is accelerating, and more importantly, how you can slow it back down. Let's start with the most straightforward explanation, the proportional theory. This idea is beautifully simple. Your brain doesn't experience time in absolute terms. Instead, it measures each year relative to your entire life lived so far. Here's how it works. At age 5, 1 year represents 20% of your entire existence. That's huge. It's a massive chunk of everything you've ever experienced. So naturally, it feels long and significant. At age 20, that same year, it's now just 5% of your life. Still noticeable, but much smaller. At age 50, a year has shrunk to 2% of your total experience. At age 80, it's barely 1%, a blip, a flash. Think about it this way. To a 1-year-old baby, a single day is 1 out of 365 days they've ever lived. But to an 80-year-old, that same day is 1 out of 29,200 days. Your brain instinctively weighs new experiences against the past, and as your past grows larger, each new unit of time carries less psychological weight. It slips by more easily. It feels lighter. This is why your childhood summers felt eternal, and why your last decade might have felt like it disappeared overnight. But there's another theory that goes deeper, one that looks at the biology of how we experience time. Some researchers suggest that our brains are like internal video cameras, capturing a certain number of mental frames per second. When you're a child, your brain is running at full speed. Your heart beats faster, your neurons fire rapidly, you're processing massive amounts of information every single second, like a camera recording at 120 frames per second. Because you're capturing so much data, the video file of your childhood memories is incredibly rich and detailed. And when you play it back in your mind, it feels long. There's so much to review. But as we age, our biological systems naturally slow down. By your 30s, your mental camera might drop to 60 FPS. By your 50s, maybe 30. You're still experiencing life, but you're capturing and encoding fewer mental images per unit of time. And here's the kicker. When you look back on a week, a month, or a year, there's simply less information stored, less detail, fewer frames to review. So when your brain reconstructs that period of time in retrospect, it feels shorter, because there's less there to remember. Time doesn't speed up. Your brain's ability to capture it slows down. Now, here's where it gets personal, because the biggest reason time speeds up isn't just biology or math, it's routine. Your brain doesn't have a built-in stopwatch. Instead, it constructs your sense of time based on how much new information it processes. And when you're young, your life is packed with what I call the density of firsts. Your first bike ride, your first crush, your first time seeing snow, your first day at school, your first heartbreak. Each of these moments is novel. Your brain pays close attention. It encodes them deeply. They stick. And when you look back, you have this rich, textured memory archive. But as adults, we fall into routines, and routines are memory killers. We wake up at the same time, drive the same route to work, answer the same emails, eat the same lunch, watch the same shows, do the same dishes, go to bed, repeat. Your brain is an efficiency machine. It sees patterns and says, I don't need to pay attention to this anymore. It switches to autopilot. And here's the brutal truth. If your week looks exactly like the week before, your brain essentially says, not much happened. And if nothing memorable happened, it feels like no time passed at all. Beyond biology and routine, our modern lives are actively accelerating our perception of time. Here are the biggest culprits. 1. Rigid schedules. Living with zero variation trains your brain to skip over entire chunks of time. Monday becomes indistinguishable from Thursday. 2. Digital distraction. When you spend hours scrolling, multitasking, or consuming passive content, your brain isn't fully present. It doesn't create mental bookmarks. You're awake, but you're not encoding memories. 3. Chronic stress. Stress pushes your brain into short-term survival mode. You're just trying to get through the day. This dulls your attention to the present and prevents you from forming rich, detailed memories. 4. Biological decline. As we age, the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for forming new memories, becomes less responsive. It doesn't encode daily events as vividly as it used to. So even when something does happen, it doesn't stick the way it used to. All of this combines into a perfect storm, a life that feels like it's slipping through your fingers. Here's the good news. Even though you can't stop the clock, you can change your perception of time. Getting a grip on your internal clock isn't about trying to do more, it's about being fully present. Here are practical ways to slow down your perception of speeding time. 1. Inject novelty. Break your routine. Take a different route to work. Try a new restaurant. Learn a new skill. Travel somewhere unfamiliar. Novelty forces your brain to wake up and pay attention. It creates mental landmarks, and those landmarks make time feel longer. 2. Practice mindful attention. Mindfulness isn't just meditation. It's about being fully present in whatever you're doing. Feel the water on your hands when you wash dishes. Notice the texture of your food. Listen to the sounds around you. The more you notice, the more your brain encodes, and the more you encode, the slower time feels. 3. Intentional encoding. Occasionally pause and take a mental snapshot. Ask yourself, what will I remember about this moment? This simple act activates your hippocampus and helps the moment stick. 4. Keep a daily journal. Journaling forces your brain to reflect and preserve the shape of each day. Even just 3 sentences. What happened today? What did I feel? What did I notice? This prevents your days from blurring into a forgettable mass. So here's the truth. Time isn't actually speeding up. You're just not paying attention anymore. You can't stop the clock. But you can choose to stop sleepwalking through your days. You can choose to stop living on autopilot and start being moved by your life instead of just moving through it. The secret to slowing down time is simple. Be where you are. Notice things. Try new things. Feel things deeply. Break your patterns. Create memories worth keeping. Because in the end, a life that feels long isn't measured in years. It's measured in moments you actually remember. Thanks for watching. What will you do today to slow down time? Let us know in the comments.